Tonight, on the 4th of July, we celebrate our independence with some barbecue, some baseball, and what better opponent than the Philadelphia Phillies? Charlie Manuel's bunch has baseball's best record. So sit back, here's some apple pie and some Major League Baseball. There is nothing quite like a holiday mixed in with some baseball. All the pageantry, the pomp, the circumstance. Hey, it's 4th of July, and the Phillies are in town. On a 4th of July, you might be cooking out, might be sitting by the pool. Well, the Marlins are here. They've got their 4th of July hats. Hey, Gabby's got his All-Star jersey on. See the stars on the back of that? And Jack McKeon getting ready to face down the Phillies. Hi, everybody. Rich Welts along with Tommy Hutton. It's an honor that you've invited us in for this holiday weekend. Baseball and the 4th of July kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. You think about all the years, I do anyway, in baseball, and you go back and just about every 4th of July I've spent at a ballpark, either as a player or up in a broadcast booth. There's something special about it.
Okay, the Marlins are playing better under Jack McKeon. 5-4 on the road trip, and one decided difference, and the Marlins are hoping it continues here on the homestand, is the speed at the top of the order by Emilio Bonifacio.
Bonifacio has added so much at the top of the order. Number one, he is an extremely versatile guy. He's been able to drop down bunts a little better, a little more consistent in that area, an area he needs to work on. He's been on the move. 5 stolen bases in the last 6 games. During those 6 games, by the way, a 6-game hitting streak. The speed comes in handy. Medium fly ball, no problem. Bonifacio scores 6 runs in his last 6 games. He's created a lot of problems for the opposition, and that's absolutely important at the top of the order. Look at what he did on the road trip. 278, couple of doubles, 5 for 5 in stolen bases. Remember, Jack has really encouraged him to steal.
All right, well, Tommy, on this 4th of July, let's go down to the field. Steve Morrell is about to perform our national anthem.
You see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Land of the free and the home of the brave.
Jeffrey Morrell with the national anthem as the Marlins get set to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Starting pitching matchup in this one, an interesting one. Coventry Healthcare of Florida. I know Vance Worley isn't included in the Big Four, but he's pitched very darn well. And Ricky Nolasco's had success against the Phillies.
Yeah, Worley with a little cross-body deception in his delivery. In last 3 starts has given up just 2 earned runs. Ricky Nolasco had that tremendous outing in Oakland, complete game, 5-hitter against the Athletics. He would love to repeat that same stuff tonight.
So you got Worley going for the Phillies, who have the best record in baseball. Nolasco going for the Marlins, who are suddenly back winning ball games. The Phillies have dominated this series, especially in this ballpark. No Fanatic tonight, but the 4th of July. MetLife Stadium, Marlins and Phillies opening up a 3-game series. Let's open up our telecast out in left field. Jeff Conine along with Craig Minervini. Gentlemen.
Hey, thank you very much, Rich. July 4th in baseball. Boy, in America, they go hand in hand. And for you, Jeff Conine, you can't even remember July 4th where baseball wasn't involved. So.
I can't really remember. It's been so long. Every step of the way, Little League, Pony League, high school. But, I had fond memories even before I started playing baseball. We'd go down to Anaheim Stadium back to watch the California Angels. Yeah. The team every July 4th, it was always against the Oakland Athletics, and I think we did that 4 or 5 years in a row and saw an outstanding fireworks display. So baseball's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Marlins are 6-2 on July 4th. It's the best record of any team around baseball. The club got in here at 4 or 5 in the morning. That shouldn't be a factor, or what do you think?
I don't think so. I think they're back home. They're fired up. Jack will get them going tonight, and they'll play with a lot of energy.
All right, they were able to report a little bit later, did not take BP on the field. They were in the cage. And you know what? If you're not fired up, once you look at that red P in the cap of the opponent, that gets you going. The Phillies and Marlins have had a real good rivalry, especially in recent years. We've got baseball coming up on July 4th next.
By AT&T, by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste, and by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. South Florida tonight. Happy 4th of July, everybody. The Marlins are back home to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have the best record in baseball. The Fish, who had the miserable June, suddenly starting to win some ball games. They went 5-4 on that West Coast road trip. Here's the Phillies batting order, brought to you by Warren Henry. Shane Victorino injured his thumb when he stumbled on the turf in Toronto, so he's not in the lineup. Jimmy Rollins still is at shortstop. Placido Polanco in the 2 spot. Chase Utley back. Brian Howard hits cleanup. Raul Ibanez, the Miami native, in left. Dominic Brown's in right. Brian Schneider hits Ricky Nolasco well. He's in the lineup for this one. Michael Martinez, kind of a utility infielder, is starting in Victorino's spot. And Vance Worley hits 9th.
You know, Rich, you can talk so much about the early morning arrival and how the energy will be. So much of the energy will be fed off the starting pitcher. If Ricky Nolasco goes out there, has some consistent innings, everybody feels a lot fresher than if he really struggles on the mound. So you focus on the starting pitcher. Ricky's 6-3 in his career against the Philadelphia Phillies. Believe it or not, he's only 1 loss against the Phillies since '06.
And Rollins stands in. Phillies beaten yesterday up in Toronto, and Rollins smokes the first pitch foul down the right field line. Now, a couple of things to talk about here. You got the Phillies, who have dominated the Marlins in this facility, winning 19 of the last 23 games. That's amazing in this ballpark. There's a changeup from Nolasco, misses down low. Charlie Manuel's group has been out of the gates quickly and has played well this year. 53-32. The 1-1. Little tapper wide of first. The other thing to talk about tonight is the playing field. U2, which pushed the Marlins out of the 3-game series and up into Seattle, played here. The entire surface was removed, and they have replaced it, but there are some seams and some uneven spots in the outfield. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Rollins flips one to left field. Morrison is there, and he makes the catch. That being said, the grounds crew did a miraculous job of getting this field ready for this series. Here's the defense.
And it's brought to you by Warren Henry with Logan Morrison. Brian Peterson starts in center field. Stanton in right, Bonifacio and Hanley, Omar and Gabby, and John Buck behind the plate. The best grounds crew in baseball.
Yeah, not only did they have to replace all the outfield grass, they had to rebuild the infield. Here is Polanco now. He stands in.
I think you look at it this way, Rich. Both teams have to deal with the surface. I think as an outfielder, you just have to be a little more careful charging a ball and not have a ball take a bad hop off one of those seams.
0-1 breaking ball misses down low, and I think we have to wait probably a few innings before we can see what the infield is like in terms of true hops. Does it stay down? Might there be a few tricky hops as the night goes along? Here's the 1-1 coming. Polanco turns on it and rips it foul. Of course, it is the 4th of July. You see the Phillies bullpen down there. They've got the 4th of July caps. Major League Baseball has changed it a little bit this year. So you got red or blue as your choice. The Phillies have got the red ones going. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that actually blends pretty well with their uniforms.
Marlins going with the blue caps. Here's the 1-2. Good breaking ball. And Nolasco off to a nice start. He gets the first 2 hitters. And here comes Chase Utley.
Early on, Ricky has established a good fastball. He puts away Polanco, who, by the way, that's only the 28th time he struck out this year. Puts him away with that good curveball, and he's also used his changeup here in the first inning.
Here comes Chase Utley. Of course, Utley missed a good portion of the early part of the season, coming back from the knee issues. Not many people in the game play it harder and are tougher than this guy. Utley yanks it foul. He's had a variety of injuries that he's had to come back from. Had the hip surgery in November of '08, the thumb surgery on July 1st of last year. But such a valuable member of the Phillies. And certainly a tribute to the Phillies that they were able to get off to the start that they did and put themselves in first place even without Utley.
Well, it sounds like a broken record, but when you send out Halladay, Lee, and Hamels, and when Oswalt was healthy, it's a little different story.
Here's the 1-1. Up the middle into center field. Utley bangs a hit with 2 outs here. And he has been running. He's stolen 6 bases, so he may have slowed down. And as Utley arrives at first, it almost looked like he was congratulating Gabby Sanchez for making the All-Star team.
I think he might have been.
Gabby has a special uniform on. All the All-Stars on their jerseys have the stars right behind the Major League Baseball emblem.
Utley knows that feeling. He's been an All-Star 5 times. Yeah, that starting pitching will help. The Phillies actually right now have 3 guys who they've used as a closer on the disabled list. Lidge, Madsen, Contreras.
Here's Ryan Howard, and he takes inside. The traditional Ryan Howard shift has everybody shifted over, and it's Hanley who is actually over on the first base side of the bag. At times the Marlins have moved a third baseman over there, but you got Bonifacio just to the third base side of second. Utley not running, and a good breaking ball by Nolasco.
Well, of course, we saw Bonifacio start last night at short with Hanley the DH. Bonifacio had consecutive games. He started in center field, he started the game at third base, and he started at shortstop.
Fastball, ground ball. Gabby has it, steps on the bag, and Nolasco. A nice first inning. And a good start to the 4th of July. In South Florida tonight on the 4th of July, some baseball going on. The Marlins are home. It's a 3-game series against the Phillies, and it starts tonight. Warren Henry brings you the Marlins lineup. 38-46, ball club winning 5 of 9 on the road trip. Emilio Bonifacio's at third. Omar Infante at second. All-star Gabby Sanchez is at first. Hanley hits cleanup. Logan Morrison behind him. Those 2 guys have been clicking lately. Mike Stanton in right. Brian Peterson is in the 7 spot. John Buck slides down to 8th. And Ricky Nolasco hits 9th. And that is Vance Worley. Worley with a deep breath, and away he goes.
Coming off a pretty good start is Vance Worley, a 2-1 win against the Red Sox. Gave up just 5 hits in his 7 innings. Phillies won that game 2-1.
Worley misses up. He's only 23, is Vance Worley. He's out of Sacramento, California. Went to McClatchy High School, the same high school that produced Nick Johnson, Larry Boa. A lot of baseball talent has come out of Sacramento. Fouls it back to the screen.
We'll give you a little scouting report on Vance Worley. Across the body, that can be a little deceptive at time. Every once in a while, his command goes a little awry, and yeah, he's another dirtbag out of Long Beach State after he left McClatchy High School.
Long Beach State has the most players in the big leagues. And Bonifacio takes a look at a fastball. He obviously wasn't thinking that, because that went right down the middle.
And again, that could be part of that deceptive delivery. Here's a look at the defense for the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's brought to you by Warren Henry, Ibanez, Michael Martinez, and Dominic Brown in the outfield. Solid on the left side with Polanco and Rollins, Utley and Howard on the right side. And tonight getting the start behind the plate, Brian Snyder.
Here is Infante now. Worley getting a start against the Marlins. He's faced him in relief. So there's not a lot of history in terms of at-bats for the Marlins lineup against this right-hander. Infante fouls it off. And Worley is out in front 0-2. Worley's been a guy that they've plugged into that, not only the 5 spot, but also the 4 spot now that Roy Oswalt is on the disabled list. Kyle Kendrick has also been a swing man. The Phillies losing Joe Blanton to an injury. But obviously, Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, and Cole Hamels have all been pitching well. In fact, of those 3, maybe Hamels has pitched the best over the last month and a half.
And that's who the Marlins will see tomorrow night.
Breaking ball off of Worley, and he gets a break.
How can that happen? That's just bad luck on Infante's part. He stung that ball, then he stung Vance Worley. Worley with a smile, he's okay, but he got his body in the right spot.
And so here is Gabby Sanchez now. Home plate umpire Kerwin Danley went out just to make sure that Worley was okay. And here's Gabby now. He's had a good year against the Phillies, though the Marlins as a team have not. They're just 2-7 against the Phillies. Gabby last night had a couple of hits, drove in a run, scored a run in a stirring ball game, a big comeback against C.J. Wilson and the first place Texas Rangers.
Go back to early May. Right here in this ballpark, Gabby Sanchez with a home run against Worley. He's 2 for 2 in 2 ABs against Vance Worley.
0-1 pitch is up.
And you talked about it, Gabby hitting .344 with a couple of home runs against the Phillies this year.
Change up, and Gabby just missed it. Ibanez under it, and he makes the catch. Vance Worley goes 1-2-3 through the first. We are scoreless.
Infantry Division at Baghdad, Iraq. We'd like to thank everybody for coming out on Military Appreciation Day because we appreciate you. Go Marlins!
We will have those greetings throughout the night. The Marlins military initiative. Twice now the Marlins have gone overseas with players, front office personnel, the only major league team to do that. And certainly on this 4th of July, if you're watching anywhere around the country or even overseas, hope you're enjoying the holiday. Raul Ibanez with a swing and a miss. We even have the happy 4th of July fireworks off the Fox box. How about that? Distracting to the hitter, I would expect. Good breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
Notice on the first pitch, too, Ricky took a little off. I don't think it was a changeup. It was 89. But he had Ibanez swinging at a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and he was out in front.
0-2 coming. In the dirt, David Sampson, Marlins president, will join us in the 5th inning. We'll talk about the Marlins military initiative as well as peppering him with new ballpark questions. Ibanez, Dominic Brown, and Brian Schneider for the Phillies here in the 2nd. And Ibanez has yet to really break loose in his 2 seasons with the Phillies. He's been a streaky guy who's been able to get hot for a couple months at a time. High pop-up, that's Infante, who makes the catch. Baker Concrete Super Saturday is on this homestand as well. Next Saturday, the 9th post-game show for the entire family with Cirque Dreams, presented by Doctors Hospital. Marlins take on the Astros at 7:10, and then stay after for an incredible post-game production of Cirque Dreams 1877 Marlins.
Rich, I think it's really important tonight for Ricky Nolasco to have the good changeup, have the curveball, because including a couple of switch hitters, 7 left-handed bats he'll be facing in the lineup. The only right-handers are the pitcher, Worley, and Polanco.
You got Dominic Brown here. There's the good breaking ball. He's really spinning it.
Yeah, so far he has.
One of the Phillies switch hitters, of course, not in the lineup. That's Shane Victorino. Sawed him off. Hanley's going to have to make a tough play. That's a base hit. Just a great pitch, but the result is about a 100-foot single.
I'm not so sure. It might be an error in Texas. I can't let it go. I can't let it go. By the way, that was a good pitch. And mixing with that curveball and changeup, the good fastball, he just totally sawed off Dominic Brown, but a tough attempt. That was the only try Hanley had.
Now you got Brian Schneider up, and although Schneider has not lit it up offensively this year, he does have a couple of home runs, and he has had success against Nolasco. Schneider is 8 for 26 against Ricky in his career. Fastball for a strike. Schneider has hit in 3 straight. Ricky runs it away, and the count's 1-1. Schneider, a veteran, 34 now.
Been kind of hampered by injuries the last couple of years on the disabled list. This year came off the DL June 24th with a hamstring pull.
Brown is leaning, and Nolasco chases him back. Dominic Brown has stolen 3 bases. Phillies lose a little speed with Victorino out of the lineup. Of course, for the past 4 or 5 years, it's been Davey Lopes who's been their first base coach and kind of the offensive coordinator in terms of the running game. There's Sam Perlazzo over there at first now. Lopes is now with the Dodgers. Infante gets another pop-up. We get a chance to take a look at the weather, which on this 4th of July looks pretty darn good. 87 degrees, partly cloudy. All year cooling. And a nice relief from 102 and 103 in the Texas heat where the Marlins were the last 3 days.
A little toasty in Arlington for those 3 games. Hey, by the way, with Martinez in the lineup and Victorino out, you've brought that up. But Victorino in that 4-game series, that quick series in Philadelphia, had 8 hits.
Roller to third, and the out at second recorded. Bonifacio to Infante. Nolasco looks good. Marlins and Phillies are scoreless.
What erupted, after shutting out all those guys.
What's your favorite All-Star moment? Cast your vote to decide at MLB.com/moments and watch the MLB All-Star Game Tuesday, July 12th on Fox.
Cole Hamels talking about his favorite All-Star moments. The Phillies All-Stars well represented on that pitching staff with Hamels, Halladay, Lee, and Placido Polanco as well. It's amazing that Ryan Howard, with all the numbers that he's put up, is not an All-Star. And Shane Victorino is in that final vote. He's a popular player. He might just win that final vote.
Yeah, early on the results have Victorino leading.
Worley to Hanley Ramirez. Tried to check his swing, and it's 0-1. Hanley in the cleanup spot has suddenly been reborn. And the Marlins are starting to see the player that they've seen over the last 5 years for the most part.
Right now, it tells me, because we've seen a lot of pretty good pitches taken for strikes, that the hitters are having a hard time picking up the delivery of Worley. He's got those Kevin Gregg type glasses.
Didn't miss by much. It's almost throwing a batting practice fastball. I mean, he's very easy delivery. He's not a max effort guy. That one came in at 88. Breaking ball, Hanley hits it just foul. Well, not only Hanley, but also the combination of Hanley in the cleanup spot and Logan Morrison behind him. Here's what's happened in the last 5 games.
Well, that's some pretty good numbers right now. Logan Morrison has a stretch of 5 consecutive games with at least an RBI or more, and hitting the ball better at bats. I think the last few games we saw better at bats from everybody.
Yeah, Eduardo Perez, the Marlins hitting coach, very happy with the Marlins approach. Worley thought he had a strikeout. Kerwin Danley didn't agree. And there you can see on Fox Tracks, pitch number 5 was out. And so Kerwin Danley on top of it. Another 2-2. Worley bounces it up to the plate.
These are those kind of at-bats we were talking about. Getting a little deeper in the counts.
To the count, 3-2. Worley thick. He's 6'2", 230. Fastball laced into right field, a base hit. Hanley was all over that ball, and Dominic Brown retrieves it. A leadoff single, and some speed on the bases now with Ramirez.
Well, and the bottom line, getting to that hitter's count. Here's a fastball, 3-2, and Hanley just crushes it. And the ball took a few funny little skips before it got to Dominic Brown in right field.
Logan Morrison now. And that pitch called the strike on the outside corner.
An interesting approach and preparation for the Marlins today. For the most part, a young team. And for the most part, these guys are out here at 4:30, 5 o'clock for a game in the evening. Because of the early morning arrival, Jack said, be dressed at 5 and ready to go. So the preparation is a little different.
Polanco comes in, and he makes the catch right by the mound. Morrison is out. That's not to say that many of the Marlins were here before 5, and a lot of them were in the batting cage working with Eduardo Perez.
Hey, Logan Morrison, as an example, was in left field taking some ground balls off the bat of Joe Espada, third base coach and outfield instructor, just to try to get a feel for the turf and what it was going to be like.
Now Mike Stanton climbs in. It's been a home run drought for Stanton. He has managed some hits. An RBI single last night. And it'll be interesting to see how the Phillies pitch him in this series. Worley misses down low. His last home run June 11th. Some 72 at bats without knocking one out of the park.
He is getting about due to go on one of his streaks, and he did that in the minor leagues as well.
(1-1). Stanton pulls it foul, not by much. Surprised that Mike stayed at home plate.
Yeah.
That ball was right on the line.
Very surprised if that kicks back, takes a little kick, and all of a sudden that's an easy double play. And an embarrassing moment for Mike Stanton.
Hanley still at first. That one is fair. Out there, Utley's turn is wild, but it bounces off the wall. Schneider is backing up. Stanton replaces Hanley at first. And here comes Brian Peterson.
Watch the slide of Hanley Ramirez. Clean, hard. Gets Utley out of the way a little bit. His throw out of the reach of Ryan Howard.
So here is Peterson, and the Marlin fans here at home getting a chance to see Peterson. And I think they're going to see a lot of him, at least for the next 2-3 weeks at the least. As Jack McKeon has said, you're going to be in there, you're going to play, and he's backed it up. And I think it's significant that he has Peterson hitting 7th and John Buck hitting 8th.
Yeah, the reason Jack wanted to do that, if you hit Peterson 8th, you take a little bit of his speed away. Plus, he's a younger hitter, Buck with more experience, and John Buck has struggled then.
Peterson takes a ball, and it is 1-1. And Peterson had an enormous hit last night. He got that big 8th inning rally started. Marlins scoring 4 runs against C.J. Wilson and the rest of the Rangers bullpen. And Peterson opened that inning with a double to left center. Runner on the move, high throw, and Stanton has stolen it. Boy, Mike is running well. He started a run on this road trip, and now all of a sudden you could tell he's feeling it.
Well, you got a great jump and no chance at all for Brian Schneider. And I think that's another little area we're going to see a little bit more of.
So 3 stolen bases and in scoring position. Peterson getting a 2-1 pitch here. And he hits a fly ball to left. Ibanez under it, makes the catch. Vance Worley, tough to hit tonight. So is Ricky Nolasco.
You know, Jimmy Rollins, not exactly known as a big power guy in the majors, but he recently attempted to set the world record for the farthest hit baseball. Currently belongs to Babe Ruth at 576 feet. Now, the furthest he's hit it in a game is 424 feet, but he got some help from Red Ball. It was called Ballpark Cranks, and what they did is they closed down Benjamin Franklin Parkway in downtown Philadelphia, and they got him some souped-up bats. So they had aluminum bats that were hollowed and then filled with a substance to kind of give like a trampoline effect. Problem was, though, they didn't have good balls for the first 20 pitches or so. Rollins said they just used balls that were from a typical sporting store. So he had him bring in major league regulated balls, and those went a little bit further. Now, he didn't break the record. He came in a bit shy, 460 plus feet, but he thinks he can get it further if he has the better balls earlier. And he said it was a lot of fun because he actually got to see where the balls land. Usually, obviously, you don't here in a ball game. And he says they're going to try and do it again next year, this time, though, in an open field so he can spray him a bit more, and then he thinks they'll have better luck. He's also going to try and team up with the scientists that worked on the bat, because he said the problem was it was bottom loaded. It was the 31 ounces he always uses, but it was bottom loaded, so that affected his swing a little bit. So he'll probably give it a go again next year, and we'll see how he does then. Guys.
Roller up the middle, off the glove of Hanley, and Infante got it at first! Omar Infante! Oh my goodness!
Smiling too!
What a play!
We didn't get a chance to tell you that Vance Worley swings the bat pretty well, and he hits this ball, looks like it's going up the middle. Deflected by Hanley, barehand by Infante, and they just do get Worley. File that one away.
Well, Omar Infante has been playing Gold Glove defense all year long. And that is just an incredible play. Here is Rollins, and he takes a strike.
You think about it, he made 2 errors, believe it or not, in that series in Texas. But they were both unusual, tough-type errors. Remember, he tried to tag the runner going by on a play. I think that was Friday night. And the ball came out of his glove. Then he made that barehand play back behind second base. Threw it to first, and the runner advanced because the ball got by Gabby. So those were the 2 errors he made. So he's made 3 errors this year, but the last 2 have been a little unusual.
Rollins in the leadoff spot. Second time through against Nolasco. A couple of base hits, a strikeout, and Rollins sends it into right field. So the Phillies leadoff man, Jimmy Rollins, 1 for 2. He's hit it hard both times up. Lined out his first time up.
And of course, with Rollins at first base, he's 17 out of 18 in stolen base, and so you always have to keep your eye on him.
And it's been a struggle for John Buck at times throwing out base stealers this year. Polanco in the 2 spot. The Phillies had Victorino hitting 5th, and that has kind of been the spot that Charlie Manuel has struggled with this year, with Ibanez slumping, and of course no Jason Worth this year, and that's a pretty big subtraction in terms of doubles, run production. But Victorino stumbled on the turf in Toronto, injured his thumb, and is out for tonight. Rollins is running. It's a pitch out. Buck's throw to second is safe. Hanley is arguing that he had him. Rollins looked like he was in. Doug Eddings, the second base umpire. Here's a look. It wasn't a great pitch out to begin with. Oh,
Hanley's saying that his hand hit Hanley's foot. It never got to the bag. There's a foot, and then Hanley got the tag on it before the hand got to the bag. I can see Hanley's point. He has one, but it's a tough call for the umpire.
Yeah, because the umpire's looking at it in real time, bang, bang, and he sees the hand beat the tag.
But you saw Hanley pointing down. That's what he meant. He said his hand hit my foot or my leg. It didn't hit the bag.
If Nolasco gives Buck a better pitch out to throw on, he may get the throw a little lower, and it might not have mattered where the hand was.
He had to reach back and then come up and throw, and he made a strong throw.
Polanco takes in, and Nolasco's gone 3-0. The Phillies at 53-32. Of course, the Marlins, when they finished May and were 10 over, were right on the tail of the Phillies. But one of the worst Junes in baseball history sent the Marlins plummeting to the basement of the National League East. Here's a 3-0 pitch. Nolasco spins towards second. Jack McKeon has taken over, and the Marlins are 6-6 under McKeon. And of course, taking their last 2 series, winning 2 of 3 against the first place Texas Rangers, winning 2 of 3 in Oakland.
Look at Jack's resume against the Phillies.
Rollins dancing from second, has a good lead.
Yeah, it's worth repeating. You hate to repeat it, but at the end of May, the Marlins were 2 games behind the Phillies.
And one of the Phillies' strengths this year, last year, and even stretching back to 2009 is playing well in this ballpark. They've won 19 of 23 here. Nolasco, after giving up the base hit to Rollins, walks Polanco, and now here comes Utley.
And this is where you can't let that inning get out of hand, and it's not an easy assignment because you have a couple of runners on, first and second, but you also have Utley and Howard Ibanez due up.
And Utley has hit in 8 straight. He extended that with a solid single back in the first, right back up the box. Randy St. Clair is out to talk to Nolasco.
And remember, it took a tremendous play to get the first out of the inning.
Ricky Nolasco, and I think you could say this about just about everybody in a Marlins uniform, he had a bad June, just like everybody else had a bad June. I can remember Nolasco on the post-game show in his last start saying that he felt personally responsible for the month of June, feeling that he picked a bad time to have a bad month.
Yeah, Ricky was 1-3 with a 4.58 ERA in his 6 starts in June.
Change up and a strike. Utley, since his return, has homered 4 times. Those are the splits. Here's the even more dramatic split. He had a stretch of 5 starts where he had an ERA over 8. That ended 2 starts ago. Utley fouls it off. Ricky's last 2 starts, his ERA is about a run and a half. And of course, his last time out, his second career shutout, a 5-hit shutout in Oakland.
And now it's essential that he's able to put away Utley because he's gotten ahead 0-2. He's made 2 good pitches, the good curveball, good fastball. Now he can make a really good pitch.
Oh, 2 coming.
And that was a really good pitch. Just missed, but really good.
Utley and the Phillies arriving from Toronto last night about 9:30, 10 o'clock. They took a full batting practice tonight. 1-2. Bill Tapper back to Nolasco. Got one there. Hanley hops out of the way. Utley got down the line quickly. Polanco is arguing that Hanley was off the bag. So there are 2 outs now. Nolasco still has a big out to get, and that's Ryan Howard.
Yeah, Polanco got on him in a hurry. Hanley may have been, but it's close. And Polanco gets him with a good slide to try to prevent the double play. I don't think they would have gotten it anyway with Utley, the runner. The ball wasn't hit that hard. Second base umpire Doug Eddings chatting it over with Hanley.
Let's see how the Marlins play Howard. With runners at the corners, they can't employ the full shift. Got speed at the corners too. Big cut by Howard. It just seems odd looking at the All-Star team and not seeing Ryan Howard on it with 67 runs driven in.
And in a way that probably benefited Gabby Sanchez. Gabby's certainly deserving of it. You just can't have 5 or 6 first basemen.
Swing and a miss. Well, I think if Bruce Bochy could have, he probably would like 5 or 6 first basemen, as deep as that position is. As it is, he'll have to settle for Prince Fielder, Gabby Sanchez, and of course Joey Votto, who is certainly much deserving. Nolasco's 0-2 pitch. Runner goes, got him on the outside corner.
He came back with some quality pitches.
Nolasco pitches out of trouble here in the 3rd. We are scoreless on the 4th of July in Miami tonight.
you guys are talking about the All-Star nominees. It's strange to see the Phillies send 4 guys to the All-Star game, at least as we speak now, and only one is a non-pitcher. And that's Placido Polanco, who's only hitting .277, but he's a darling up there in Philly and voted in at third base. Halladay, Hamels lead the heralded starting staff, and then Victorino's a final vote candidate. But as you guys mentioned, no Howard, he's been there 3 times. No Utley, 5 times, but has only played 35 games with that injury this year. No Rollins, a 3-time All-Star. Ibanez has been there before as a Philly, and Victorino as well. But the Phillies are only hitting .245 as a team. That's 2 points better than the Marlins. And in fact, they only have 1 more home run as well. As you know, they've been winning on pitching. And that's why 3 of their 4 All-Stars right now are pitchers. But it does seem strange when you look at the names in this Philly lineup. You see the lack of overall offense they've been getting from them.
Well, Craig and Tommy, we talked about it yesterday. We referenced the column by Ken Rosenthal, who said the names that came out yesterday, merely a first draft of the All-Star team. With the injuries and the like coming up, you will see a few other guys get named to both the American League and the National League All-Star teams.
And the other thing, Rich, in talking about the Phillies offense, you and I always love and always get the opportunity to talk to Charlie Manuel, their manager. And in the course of the conversation, it always comes up about his offense that he feels has really struggled, and they have. It's not been the same offense they've had over the last few years. And he knows he has that pitching, but he'd like to see his offense a little bit.
And I think everybody in baseball knows that Ruben Amaro Jr., the general manager of the Phillies, is shopping for and looking for a right-handed bat. When we were in Oakland, we saw a rehabbing Josh Willingham, who is out playing on rehab games.
File that question away, by the way, when we do have Ken Rosenthal on about the Phillies' search for a right-handed bat.
We'll have him on later this week. Vance Worley's on the mound right now. But Hammer's name has surfaced as one of the candidates, or a guy that the Phillies might be kicking the tires on. 2-2. That's a strike 3 call. Buck doesn't like the call. And of course, he's been working in front of Kerwin Danley all night. Let's take a look on Fox Tracks. And he's got a beef.
Yep, he does. He had a pitch, remember, from his own pitcher against Utley, a breaking ball that missed by less than that. That was called a ball. So yeah, he has a beef. He'll talk respectfully to Kerwin Danley.
Velasco sees a fastball for a strike. Then you got Bonifacio. Vance Worley, his first time through, has struck out a couple. He's given up just a Hanley Ramirez single. Worley's pitch count at 35. Nolasco's thrown 44 in his 3 innings of work.
The other thing Worley's done, he's got 9 out of 10 first pitch strikes, so he's been getting ahead.
Both he and Kyle Kendrick have done a nice job plugging the holes in the rotation, with the injuries to Blanton and to Oswalt. That one fouled back to the screen. Jason Worth, on the other hand, we talked about, you subtract a guy who led the National League in doubles last year. Always a good on-base percentage guy, used to shoot pitch counts through the roof. Velasco up the middle. Rollins digs it out and throws him out. I think that's changed the dynamics of the Phillies' order, not having A, Worth to do those things, and B, just the fact that he's right-handed.
And you wonder if he'd be hitting .224 as a Philly as he is with the Nationals.
Probably wouldn't be getting booed in his home ballpark as well. So up comes Bonifacio with 2 outs. He was called out on a strike in the first. Shortens the bunt, takes one at the knees. Game's going on right now, and it's back to National League, American League. The American League, by the way, 131 wins. The National League, 121 wins in interleague play. Arizona and Milwaukee 6-6 in the 9th in Milwaukee. Sean Markham started and homered in that ball game. Bonifacio kind of dumps that one into center field. So he's aboard at first. He might not be there for long. With a 2-out single. Our poll question, it's the 4th of July. It's brought to you by Tickets of America. Favorite thing about the 4th of July? Baseball, cookouts, fireworks, Old Glory, and parades no longer popular. 789-789. Bonifacio leaning a bit.
You know, the advanced scout for the Phillies over the last week told them that Bonifacio's on the move.
Worley does not appear to have a real good move first. Or if he does, he hasn't shown it yet.
10 out of 13. He had 5. Bonifacio did in his last 6 games.
He's running. Snyder's throw has it stolen, and then we'll hold on there. Martinez did a nice job of charging from center field. See, that was a quick pitch by Worley. Used a slide step, and Schneider got rid of it quickly, and Bonifacio still forced the issue and got the bag.
Yeah, you add all those things together, and Bonnie still was able to beat it out. Takes a peek. He picked up the ball and thought about going to third, but he saw how quickly Martinez came in. And remember, Martinez primarily an infielder.
Now Infante with a 1-0 count. Bonifacio at second. Counts 1-1.
Michael Martinez has 6 starts this year in center field.
One and two. Infante does not strike out a lot. He does not walk a lot either. He's one of those guys that usually puts it in play. He's walked just 21 times. He struck out 32 times. And the problem is, you know, last year, in 321, he was third in the league in hitting. And so his on-base percentage was up 350, 360. But if he's hitting 255, his on-base percentage not quite at 300. By a step, Polanco, Gold Glover, when he was a second baseman, makes a nice play.
HHBN 25th Infantry Division. I just want to say thank you for all your support for the troops over in Baghdad, Iraq. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Carly, my mother, Cynthia, and go Marlins.
And a thank you to all the troops and those that are serving. Special day on the 4th of July. A little baseball for you, the Marlins. I am Gumby. Here's Ibanez. He takes a strike from Nolasco. Ricky facing Ibanez, Dominic Brown, and Brian Schneider here in the 4th inning. The Phillies have a hit in every inning. In fact, they had 2 base runners with 1 out in the last inning. But Nolasco retired Chase Utley and then Ryan Howard to get out.
That was a key moment for Ricky early in this game. He made some excellent pitches to both Utley and Howard.
And 2. Cardinals and Reds getting together. Scoreless in the 4th. And Nolasco's fastball gets Ibanez. Ricky has 3 strikeouts in the ball game. Here's our 4th of July trivia for you. As we flip the phone, AT&T brings it to you. Who was the only player to hit for the cycle on the 4th of July?
Boy, when I think cycle, I think of Coors Field. I think of Chase Field. You go with a Rockies player. And we're probably so totally far off base it isn't even close.
All right, we need some hints, obviously, from the crack staff. He is a broadcaster now. Broadcasters who have hit for the cycle 400.
Maybe a Mark Grace.
Here's the 1-1. Well, we can go down the list of analysts. And there are a few ex-players who do play-by-play as well. Dwayne Kuiper in San Francisco, Buck Martinez in Toronto,
Ken Singleton in New York.
There's a strike. I don't know that
Jerry Remy, terrific color man with the Red Sox.
The home run part of that with Remy and Kuiper, you're going to have trouble with the home run.
Well, Kuiper only hit the 1 home run. Yeah.
There's a grounder. Pulls Gabby off the bag, and Nolasco just gets there in time and beats Dominic Brown. That was a close play and a nice play by both Gabby Sanchez and Ricky Nolasco.
I'll throw in a Rick Monday. Another good pitch, another good breaking ball. Gabby wanders away from first, so he really puts his trust in Ricky Nolasco to get over there. Ricky just gets there, and Gabby gives him a perfect feed and just got him.
Foxmo, Vic Carapazza, the first base umpire, nailed it. There's a lot of ex-catchers in the booth. Bob Brenly in Chicago.
Bob Brenly, yeah.
Maybe Joe Simpson in Atlanta. Joe not a catcher. But Tom Grieve, we just saw Tom in Texas. Schneider bangs it down the line. Stanton cuts it off. And Mike with a strong throw, too strong. Hanley way off the bag to get it. Brian Schneider with a 2-out single.
I don't know if Bill Schroeder of the Brewers had that kind of speed.
Or Ray Fosse of the Athletics.
Well, he talked about the success Brian Schneider has had in his career against Ricky. A career 300 average against Ricky Nolasco, closing in on 30 at-bats.
Mike Blowers in Seattle. I think we can cross Jim DeShays off our list in Houston.
FP Santangelo.
It's in
New
Washington.
to the broadcast booth in Washington.
How about Keith Hernandez?
Keith Hernandez with the Mets. That's a good guess. That's a possibility.
Breaking ball misses down low. Craig, you have a guess?
I was just thinking about Ken Singleton. Good power hitter.
Yeah, he could get a triple once in a
Throw
while.
him in there.
Singy didn't have the greatest of speed, but
No.
he could get a triple once in a while.
Ball and a strike to Michael Martinez. Again, the trivia question is, only person hit for the cycle on the 4th of July, and he is a current broadcaster in the big leagues. Swing and a miss by Martinez. Now,
none of them hit for the cycle.
You know, nothing says baseball like apple pie, baseball, barbecues, and the Mermaids in their 4th of July outfits. Here's the 1-2. Little tapper, Ricky's got it, and flips on over to first in time. Velasco has 4 solid innings in the book. Fish fills scoreless. By Florida Power and Light, FPL is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPLConnect.com to learn more. And by the all-new Chevy Cruze, see your local Chevy dealer. In Miami tonight, Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Allison Williams as well. There you go.
Blowing kisses.
Kisses being blown, but runs not being scored because Vance Worley has been outstanding. So is Ricky Nolasco.
Good day for kids and parents at the ballpark. 4th of July.
Gabby Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez, and Logan Morrison now against Worley. Tommy pointed out early in the telecast that Worley has a kind of a odd delivery. Hides the ball well, kind of throws across his body, and we'll see if the Marlins, their second time through, have a little more success.
That's a good point. Here we go, second time around. Get a little better idea of a release point from a pitcher.
Fastball in, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Braves are at home tonight against Colorado. That game is just underway. Gabby swings and misses, and the count's 1-2. We've been told by the crack staff that we have mentioned the name of the.
Of course we have.
Player. We probably threw out about 10 to 15 names. So pick a broadcaster. Who's your guy that's done it?
I'm going to go with Keith Hernandez.
Here's the 2-2. And misses away.
Only because I know Keith would be happy that we're thinking of him as having speed to have gotten a triple as part of the cycle.
3-2 coming, and it's outside. Gabby works a leadoff walk.
I think we're seeing better at bats. We talked about from a lot of the players, and I think in particular Gabby Sanchez staying off that pitch a little bit. And maybe a couple of weeks ago he was chasing with 2 strikes.
I'll go with Mark Grace.
That was my second choice.
My dark horse will be Buck Martinez.
Tough to hit for the cycle of Wrigley Field, though. Of course, Gracie had a number of games in Arizona, though, too.
Hanley line one to right for a base hit his last time up. Worley misses low. That's the first walk that Worley has issued. And he has a pair of strikeouts. Catches the corner. 1-1. Padres and Giants tonight in San Francisco. 3-2 San Diego in the bottom of the 7th. Same pitch, same result. Hanley saying that pitch is outside.
Yeah, Hanley didn't agree with the first strike, which was number 2. The first strike had it. Third one, the next pitch a little bit further off. Now as a hitter, you have to guard for that pitch.
See if Worley comes inside. He does.
Yep. See, and that's right now Kerwin Danley's inconsistent. That's the same pitch he called John Buck out on. Remember that fastball in that Buck had a little complaint about, right about in that area.
Breaking ball, Hanley fouls it back. And the count is 2-2. Scoreless in the bottom of the 4th. Marlins and Phillies opening a 3-game series, which runs through Wednesday. That's right down the middle. AT&T trivia answer. The 4th of July cycle question. A current broadcaster is the hint. Only player to hit for the cycle on the 4th of July. Hey, Keith Hernandez. In 19 innings.
19-inning game. I have to admit, Rich, I have to be honest here on the 4th of July. I got a little help from our Mets insider who likes to check in every now and then. That wasn't that crazy 4th of July game that went to like 4 a.m., was it? The fireworks game? Yeah, it was. It was that crazy game that went to like 4 a.m. in Atlanta.
Were they able to shoot the fireworks off at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, they did.
That one's out of play, probably much to the dismay of the folks that lived around the ballpark in Atlanta at that point in time.
Hey, you pay for the fireworks, you got to shoot those things off.
Counts 0-2 to Logan Morrison. And Worley misses down low. Morrison popped out back in the 2nd. Not a lot of comfortable swings against Vance Worley.
Yeah, the hardest hit ball for the Marlins tonight was Hanley's base hit back in the second inning.
Bonifacio's single was a soft line drive.
Yeah, Worley actually had some games, 8 starts in AAA before getting up with the Phillies. 4-2 and a 2.62 ERA.
That's a strike. And now Morrison and Kerwin Danley jawing at each other. Pitch looked like it did come back a bit. Let's see if it came back and caught the plate.
Yep, had good movement.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was a good pitch. That time you credit Vance Worley with some terrific movement on that pitch to bring it back in the zone.
Stanton drives it. It's going to stay in the yard.
He just got under it.
Martinez signals for the fair catch, and he makes it in deep left center. Still scoreless.
From Miami, Florida, in Baghdad, Iraq, with the 25th Infantry Division. I would like to thank all the Marlins for supporting us troops out here in Baghdad, Iraq, and I would like to say thank you to my mother, hey Mom, Deidre Robinson, back in Alabama, and I'd like to thank all my family and friends in Miami, Florida. And go Marlins! Woo!
Nicely done. Subway 5th inning on the 4th of July. The Phillies and the Marlins are scoreless. It's the top of the 5th. Ricky Nolasco and Vance Worley are matched up here, and both are pitching well. Worley chops one to third. Bonifacio gets a nice big hop and throws him out. Marlins president David Sampson joins us now. Now, you were on the trip where many of these greetings were captured on the overseas trip, and I know you and the Marlins have had for 2 years now a military initiative that continues, I assume, next off season.
It will continue. It really went well, and just seeing these troops right now, and they really appreciate it, but the truth is we had a much better time than I think they did. And you've seen Logan, and we were up there with bombers and C-130s, but the troops, they just miss home. And when we brought baseball to them and fun, and they were really happy to see us all.
It's almost like you're bringing home to them.
It's exactly what it is, and that's what they say. We actually didn't come up with that. They actually say to us, it's like we're home when you're here, and it's far away. And most people don't take the time to get on a plane and go over there, and I'm proud of the Marlins for doing it year after year.
Do you guys know where you're headed next year, or is that up to the military?
The military comes to us and says, here's where you're needed, and we say we'll go. So Armed Forces Entertainment will come to us in a couple months, and we'll start planning it. And we have no shortage of players or executives or mermaids who want to go, because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And John Buck and Logan Morrison went last year, John Baker and Chris Coughlin the year before. Who's volunteered this year? Have you targeted anybody that's going?
Well, we haven't targeted anyone except that Andre Dawson and Jeff Conine, who are on the trip, have said that they will do anything they have to do to go again, but they're probably on the back of the line. And Logan and John want to go again as well, but so do Cogs and Baker. So there's no shortage. We'll see what happens.
Jimmy Rollins is up. He's lined out and singled. He's had 2 good swings against Nolasco, and he fouls it at the plate, and it's 2-2. We have some questions for you, ballpark type questions.
We've been writing these down since the road trip began in Seattle. Well, actually, that was a homestand.
All right, Tommy, enough of that. Isn't that story over already?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good. What's the question?
New ballpark. As Nolasco with a 2-2 pitch, it's fouled off. New ballpark, will they give home run distances? Some parks, including this one now, do not give home run distances. A lot of fans want to know if that will be given in the new park.
We have started to talk about that, whether or not we should put certain, like 550 or 600 or 400 in different parts of the new ballpark. Definitely in the talking stage and definitely a possibility, because I think it's great for fans to know what the distances are, because it can be fun. On the other hand, we want to make sure that we don't have players who are focused on those distances and trying to hit them each and every time.
We thought in Texas they were able to give the distance right after the home run. Didn't have to wait too long.
Well, the way you actually do it, do you want to know the secret? There's a secret to it.
Go ahead, give us a secret.
They don't actually measure each home run. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think I did know that. Yeah.
Off the end of the bat, Hanley charging, has it, and fires. Rollins is out. Nice play by Hanley Ramirez. Here comes Placido Polanco.
The way you do a home run distance is you take different parts of the ballpark and you assign a value to them.
Okay.
And then so when a ball lands there, that's the value you assign, and then you can go up or down a few rows. Up or down a few feet. The time when it's difficult is when a ball is still going up. Like we've seen some home runs that have, let's say, hit in the upper deck above Joe Robbie. And if sometimes it's still going and you don't have a distance for that, then it becomes guesswork.
Here's a pitch to Placido Polanco. Of course, the other problem would be if in the new ballpark the roof is open and left field is wide open. If someone hits it all the way out of the ballpark, much like Mike Stanton did when the Marlins were taking batting practice in the new ballpark. That was quite a sight. There's a shot right to Gabby Sanchez. Stick around, David. We got more questions for you. Nolasco works a very brief 5th inning. Tomorrow night and Wednesday against the Phillies, Cole Hamels, Chris Bolstad, Kyle Kendrick, and Anibal Sanchez. Just as we look forward to the upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men hair color. Subway 5th inning, scoreless. Phillies and Marlins. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, David Sampson joining us now. Now, when we were on the road trip, there was a story out of New York that the Marlins were going to open the new ballpark on the 4th of April, which is a Wednesday night, against the St. Louis Cardinals, and that there would be an exhibition game against the New York Yankees before that game, and it was an unnamed source. And so, since you're the guy, and
aren't all sources unnamed?
Oh, you're named though.
You weren't the unnamed
if it were
source.
Named, it wouldn't be a source now, would it?
We've already established who you are. So, tell us, what do you know, and how accurate?
Well,
is
I
that?
would say 9 months from this second, we will be doing pregame activities, literally.
So that means the 4th of April.
Nothing gets by Rich, Tommy.
I had to use my fingers. I wasn't there yet.
Peterson pops it up to left. Ibanez comes in, and Brian Peterson is the first out.
I wish you had that on camera. Tommy literally had his shoes off.
I had my fingers on. I was trying to get nice. What do we got here?
So that means obviously the building is ahead of schedule. Everything is looking like it's ready to go. So the 4th of April is a Wednesday, and the Marlins would open that night and then go out on the road.
Exactly.
Much like the Washington Nationals did when they opened their new ballpark.
Exactly, and then we'll come back. Probably Friday the 13th will be another opener. But we'll also have exhibition games during the month of March. We're just beginning to put those on the calendar now. We're waiting to announce days till we get through this next hurricane season. And I don't mean the Miami Hurricanes. We have to get through that, but we're right now completely on schedule, on time, and again, 9 months from now, you'll be on the air, actually, going through the pregame festivities.
The theory, David, behind a game and then go out on the road and then come back.
The theory is that you want to open your ballpark, and we want to be the first game to open the season. This is a great new ballpark that will be opening in Miami. Miami deserves to be in the national spotlight. But then you want to go on the road for a week just to work out the kinks.
Okay.
Figure out if anything needs to be changed or helped, or screw in some last light bulbs or whatever needs to be done. So it really is a good plan, and our schedule looks like it's going to allow for that.
John Buck at the plate with the count 2-1. Whenever you build a new ballpark, and I've heard this from a variety of teams that have done it, as the building goes along and you get closer to completion, and right now you're right about 75%, you learn a little something new about the park, because you can put all the 3D models up and all the models you want, but until you get in it, you don't learn about it. What have you learned about the new ballpark over the last month or two as construction gets close to complete?
The thing that is most difficult to learn about a new ballpark is all the entrances and exits into the ballpark, and the stairwells, and how to navigate within hallways, because when you're walking through an area that is just a shell, the problem is there's no walls anywhere, and you end up walking through walls, actually, which you can't do once the walls are up. So you have to go relearn the area. So, for example, in our clubhouse, we were able to go from the weight room into the showers, and now you can't do that, obviously. So, and that happens in areas on the promenade level, which is the main level where most of our fans will be, 20,000 of them out of the 36,000, and different ways to get from concession areas back to your seats and then to an elevator to get in and out. That's the kind of stuff you learn.
Yeah, I'm sure, too, the learning curve of traffic in and out, people coming in and out of the game.
It's actually something that we spend a lot of time on.
Yeah.
Because we don't want people waiting on lines for the restroom, or we don't want people waiting on line in concession stands, and how people get to their seats and from their seats. So we actually are going to be doing rehearsals. We're going to be filling the garage when it's built with cars,
okay.
And we're going to rehearse how cars get out and where they go.
Velasco's bunt down the first baseline. Howard scoops it up and throws him out. So Bonifacio will come up with a runner in scoring position. That would be John Buck. Another question we had, and this came up when the ball club was in Arizona. Growing grass sometimes in retractable roof stadiums can be not only a science but also an art. Have you guys settled on a grass type? How do you think that will work in South Florida?
We have, actually, and props go out. You guys should comment on Alan Sigwart and his grounds crew.
Yeah, we
I don't
do
know
all
if you've
the time,
talked about it, but this field had a U2 concert on it last Wednesday. I don't know if anyone saw pictures of it. They had a resod over 100,000 square feet, and literally the field looks terrific, and it's completely playable, which is a compliment to Alan. But yeah, we grew different types of grass. We tested it here in Florida. We've chosen a grass, and it should work. We're going to be able to grow it a little longer in the new ballpark.
Okay, that was
here
another question we had.
The grass is really fast, did you know? I know you know that.
Yes.
So in the new ballpark, our plan is for it to be a little longer, which will help.
All right, go ahead and finish. Bonifacio is out. He thought he was safe. Perry Hill thought he was safe. Here comes Jack McKeon. It's a big call. Bonifacio throws the helmet. I don't know if he was tossed or if Perry Hill was tossed. And now McKeon is right in his face. We'll take a timeout. David, thanks for the visit.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, David. We'll get back for a little more excitement.
And he was
touched him.
A look, and this is the angle that the umpire has, and man, even from that angle,
he clearly misses the tag. And I go off Perry Hill. Perry Hill doesn't argue a lot, and when he argues, you know that he has seen a play. The glove never moved either. Watch Worley when he goes up top. You can usually see a glove move when he hits a runner. Doesn't touch him. Bonifacio was safe. And unfortunately, Bonnie gets thrown out of the game.
Here's Bonifacio's reaction as he throws his helmet down. You know what? I don't know that you...
Again, you have an umpire who knows he made a bad call throwing out a player. It's not about him. It's not about the umpire being in a game. It's about the player playing the game.
Here is Utley.
We saw that happen with Gabby Sanchez, too.
And Bonifacio's helmet throws, you see Greg Dobbs, who's come in the ballgame. Bonifacio didn't really fire it down. He just kind of took it off and threw it.
Got to take the helmet off. Does he want him to set it on the ground nicely after he blew a call?
Now McKeon gave him an earful. Here's Utley now, and the Marlins have to just keep getting outs. Ricky Nolasco's been able to do that, but he's got Utley, Howard, and Ibanez, the heart of the order for the Phillies here in the 6th inning. So I think Jack was arguing two things. Number one, he was arguing about the call, and number two, he's arguing about the quick trigger in ejecting Bonifacio.
I'm sure he brought both of those points up. This isn't a flinging all the way hard. It's just taking it off.
He wasn't even looking at him. He wasn't even looking at him.
He didn't even see him throw it down.
He did not throw it. He did not see him throw his helmet down.
You get fired up, Rich. Come on. You get fired up.
How does he see that? He was not even looking at him.
He was looking at Jack.
And Bonifacio didn't show him up. He just tossed the helmet down.
I didn't know Vic Carapazza had such great peripheral vision.
Here's a look.
He's not looking. Not looking. He's talking to Perry Hill.
There's a fastball, and Nolasco misses
That's
outside.
even more of a joke.
Marlins lose one of their best offensive weapons. I believe the scoreboard is off, and the count is actually 3-1. I think that's what Kerwin Danley was doing out in front of home plate. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Utley hits it hard. Gabby's got it, and he steps on the bag. So Nolasco gets the first out of the 6th inning. Stop any Metro PCS store in Miami, Broward, or Palm Beach before July 10th. Register to win a trip for two to see the Marlins play in San Diego from the 19th to the 21st of August. The trip includes airfare, hotel, and tickets to all 3 games. Don't wait. Stop by your local Metro PCS store today. Metro PCS, wireless for all. Here is Howard now. He has bounced out and struck out. Nolasco's throwing a gem, and so is Vance Worley. Big breaking ball from Ricky for a strike.
Ricky's had that working all night. He's used that to just plant that seed in the head of a hitter, and then he's been able to tie up some hitters. Perfectly positioned
on the shift
was Omar Infante. Not only was he deep into the outfield, but he was more over toward the line than I've ever seen. Look at how far he is over here. Usually it's a little more to the left, or to the right, to his right. And he's right there. Perfect.
And you know, Gabby was sharp enough and knew where he was enough. If Gabby goes to his right, he can field that ball, but there would be nobody at first base. And so Gabby knew that Infante was back there, and so he immediately broke for the bag at first. Here's Ibanez now. Ibanez has popped out and struck out. So Dobbs is at third and in the leadoff spot. Ibanez pulls that breaking ball foul. It's 1-2. 4 hits for the Phillies, 2 hits for the Marlins. Cole Hamels, Chris Volstad tomorrow night.
Chris Volstad has put together some nice consistent starts.
See how Ibanez was out in front of that. That's good work. One-two pitch coming. No swing. That's Dana DeMuth out there at third base. Another ground ball to the right side. Ricky's over, and a 1-2-3-6 for Nolasco, who has set down 7 in a row. Like the Matrix. Freeze it. Infante bare hands off the deflection of Hanley's glove and throws the runner out. That's the cross-brewed Coors Light freeze can. Scoreless ball game, Marlins and Phillies. A good one here in the bottom of the sixth. Let's check in with Allison Williams.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Shar Westfall, whose husband was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2005, part of the rescue mission for Operation Red Wing. And now, what a great cause. She's a boot girl. First of all, tell us about the Boot Girls and what the program is.
The Boot Girl campaign was started by 5 women from Texas that had no affiliation to the military at all. And after reading the book Lone Survivor, they decided that they wanted to give back. And so their goal is to sell 1.4 million pairs of boots. That's 1 pair of boots for every active duty and reserve military personnel.
And how are they doing so far?
They're doing great. They're raising a lot of money. We're bringing awareness to our troops, and that's the main goal and focus of the campaign.
What is going on today at the Marlins game?
We have a booth to sell boots and to bring awareness to our troops. So we've got our boots up there for people to try on and order a pair if they'd like.
She's wearing a pair, and they're absolutely adorable, so I will have to head over there. It's bootcampaign.com is where you can go for more information. And you got a special honor today, able to throw out the first pitch. How was it, Shar?
Yeah, well, it was a chance of a lifetime, and I loved it, but I was quite embarrassed because I didn't do as well as I've been doing in practice.
It can be a little nerve-wracking, right, when you're on the spot?
It can, and I didn't even see the pitcher or the catcher until he was bringing the ball back to me. So I was like, I don't know if I did it with my eyes closed or what.
Hey, as long as you did it, you can say you did.
Exactly, and it was a lot of fun, and I love the Marlins for everything they're doing to help support us and bring awareness to our troops.
Well, Shar, thank you so much. Bless you and your family. What a great cause.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
All right, Allison, good story. 1-2 the count on Omar Infante. Big breaking ball. Vance Worley keeps getting outs. Worley is getting a lot of fly ball outs, whereas Ricky Nolasco is getting a lot of ground ball outs, but they're all outs.
They're all outs. Right now, Rich, I got a feeling Allison's getting that credit card out to go get those pair of boots.
Here's Gabby Sanchez. Vance Worley, in his 5 1/3 innings, has walked 2, struck out 4, has given up just 2 hits, and has thrown 80 pitches. Ricky Nolasco is through 6. 3 strikeouts, a walk, 4 hits, and Ricky's thrown 82.
You know, at the very beginning, when we talked about Worley, we talked about his delivery. Not an overpowering guy, but he's a part of a rotation. The Phillies starters for the month of June had an ERA of 1.96. First rotation since the Cubs and Braves in 1992 to finish a full month under 2 in the ERA department.
And yet there's still that feeling in Philadelphia, and Charlie Manuel will tell you that they need offensive help. They need to be able to score runs. Twice, of course, last year in the National League Championship Series, they ran into Tim Lincecum, and Lincecum beat Roy Halladay twice. In fact, in the World Series, Lincecum beat Cliff Lee twice. So both Halladay and Lee lost twice in the postseason to Lincecum. Now, you don't know that if the Phillies or the Giants are going to match up. But the Phillies in 2008, a much better offensive club than they are right now. Vance Worley dealing, and he punches out Gabby Sanchez. This 23-year-old has been marvelous tonight for the Phillies. If you present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game, you'll get a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. Here's Hanley now. There are 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th in a scoreless game. Vance Worley, Ricky Nolasco. Both pitch counts right now manageable. Worley really hasn't had an inning where he's had to really dig down deep. For Nolasco, he's had one of those. That was the 3rd inning. Two and 0. Hanley, of course, a grand slam and a home run in the same game in Texas. He homered in Oakland.
You know, it's funny how when you are on a club that has a bunch of hot hitters, everything falls into place, and you have a tendency to swing the bat better.
Hanley went after that 3-0 pitch, and he hits it in the air to center.
Same thing is true of pitching, and Worley's falling right in.
Vance Worley is clicking, still scoreless. That's right, 4th of July. Baseball, apple pie, and fat men dancing. How about that?
Absolutely. What a great day. You couldn't pick a better day than this one.
Hey, I have a question for Tito and Cookie. You know, Cookie was, he took off on us, went on a nice cruise. Things were looking pretty good, and all of a sudden, what happened to us, Cookie, while you were gone?
I don't know. Wow. I guess, you know, I took my bats with me. That's what happened, you know. But things have started to get a little bit better. I think Jack is doing a tremendous job, you know, since he took over. I think the kids are, you know, playing the game the right way right now, and I think that's a good sign.
And a great start so far from Ricky Nolasco. Vance Worley has been terrific as well.
Both of them have pitched very well. You know, when you're talking about 6 hits, only 4 by the Phillies and 2 by the Marlins, you know that those 2 guys are really in control so far.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Dominic Brown. Infante got a piece of it, and Brown is safe at first. All right, guys, have a good show.
You too, guys.
Thank you very much.
Brown had an infield single back in the 2nd inning, and he opens the 7th with a base hit.
Yeah, all the base hits in this game tonight, the 5 by the Phillies, the 2 by the Marlins, have all been singles.
Brian Schneider has popped out, and he has singled. Nolasco trying to keep Brown close. Fireworks show after the ball game.
Billy will, as always, be practicing fire protection safety.
Point in the lineup, Tommy, where if the pitcher wasn't due up 4th this inning, Charlie Manuel might think about bunting Schneider here.
Yeah, and I think because his pitcher's throwing so well, his bullpen's quiet. So it's going to get to Worley, who we've seen swing the bat well, though.
Oh, 1 pitch is a ball. Of course, the Phillies have been in first place for a while now. It's brought to you by Chevy, 4 in front of the Braves. The Nationals at 500. The Mets are at 500. The Marlins right now in the basement. Fish having won their last 2 games, both those games in Texas.
So the last time Pittsburgh, you talk about teams at 500, they're 3 over. Last time they were 3 over 500 this late in the season was 12 years ago. The Buccos are playing good baseball.
Pirates got to 3 over by beating Houston today by a score of 5-3. If you were to pick a manager of the year in the National League, is Clint Hurdle, because of that, up on your list?
He's got to be in the top 3.
Kirk Gibson probably deserves some consideration for what he's done in Arizona.
Ron Renicky with Milwaukee.
2-1 coming. Schneider just clobbers it. There's something about Ricky Nolasco that Brian Schneider likes.
I think he'd have to give some consideration to Terry Collins and what he's been able to do with the Mets and all that he's had to deal with.
I would agree. Schneider is 9 for 28 in his career, over 300 against Nolasco. Nice pick by Buck. 2-2. Speaking of Arizona and Milwaukee, the 2 manager candidates we talked about, Arizona got 2 in the 9th to beat Milwaukee 8-6. John Axford giving up the 2 runs and getting the loss. Willie Mo Pena hit his 5th homer.
And Willie Mo is back.
With a vengeance. Chris Young had the go-ahead single in that one. Schneider takes in, and so now Nolasco's got runners first and second. Here comes Michael Martinez.
This is where it becomes an interesting decision for a manager. We'll have to see what Charlie Manuel wants to do. He has a guy up there who's a pretty good bunter, and he has a pitcher who swings the bat well. Worley's hit the ball well a couple of times tonight. He's 0 for 2.
You've got Rollins in the leadoff spot following Worley. And so Dunn is up. See Nolasco's pitch count. Rollins a little better left-handed right now than he is right-handed. Let's see how the Phillies play it. Pretty good speed with Brown at second. Schneider is not being held at first. Not bunting, line drive, base hit. Over forward is Peterson. Picks it cleanly. Here comes Brown. Here comes a throw. He is safe. Got to the plate. Buck tried to tag him. Michael Martinez has given the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Not a bad throw from Brian Peterson.
Well, isn't it ironic, Michael Martinez getting the start because Shane Victorino has some soreness in his thumb. Victorino always kills the Marlins. Martinez stings that ball. Good throw. Pretty good slide, too, by Dominic Brown, and a good attempt by John Buck. He has to wait and get the short up to make sure he catches the ball. And that's very close. Probably tagged him. He probably tagged him as much as Worley tagged Bonifacio at first base. Not on the base. Not on the base yet. Yeah. He never touches the base until the back foot gets the plate.
But as an umpire, he's looking down, and it's hard to tell if that foot is over the plate or on the plate. I mean, from Kerwin Danley's viewpoint, watch. Danley is looking down at the foot.
Which doesn't touch the, it pops up. Right. It doesn't touch the plate.
But as I'm saying it, from his viewpoint looking down, he sees the foot go right across the top of the plate, right over the plate. So it's hard to fault the umpire on that from where...
Bang, bang play.
From his vantage point.
Bang, bang play. You know, the bottom line, and it's amazing how walks can complicate an inning. The walk to Brian Schneider set up that whole scenario.
The throw from Peterson was good enough that it kept everybody to just the one base.
It was low enough that it could have been cut by Gabby Sanchez. So Schneider had to hold his ground at second, as did Martinez, who hit the ball.
Obviously, Worley trying to move those runners up. Fastball misses high from Nolasco. The one thing you got going here, if you're the Marlins, and he does set it down, you don't have great speed at second with Schneider. So you got a shot at getting the force at third base.
First run that Ricky's allowed in quite a while. Remember, he had that shutout against the A's in Oakland.
And Worley fouls it back. So he strikes out, and here comes Rollins. Do you flip Rollins around here with Dunn, or do you let Ricky face him one more time?
You know, I think Ricky's still throwing the ball well. The one thing, if you flip Jimmy Rollins over to the other side, not that he's an easy guy to double up, but he's a little easier to double up from the right side.
Badenhop has joined Dunn in the bullpen. Phillies have a run on a Michael Martinez RBI single. Now the infield back, hoping for a ground ball.
This is that situation Ricky found himself in the third inning. He ended up making great pitches to Utley and Howard. He needs to come up with some of those pitches here.
Philly fans here in South Florida starting to stir. Marlin fans trying to answer. Six shutout innings for both Ricky Nolasco and Vance Worley. But the Phillies had the first run of the night here in the seventh. Rollins, a line drive single in the third. He lined to left back in the first. You know, the single by Martinez was only the second ball hit to the outfield.
The only fly ball out off Ricky was the first out of the game, Jimmy Rollins. And it was more of a semi-line drive, a pretty good line drive.
Everything else has been on the infield. One, two. Rollins fouls it. That is, of course, unless you want to count Omar Infante, who was about 70 feet into right field when he got the Ryan Howard.
That's the
ground ball.
Howard infield.
Randy St. Clair and Jack McKeon conferring. Jack working the gum. Nolasco working against Rollins.
Good battle back there by John Buck.
Smothers it, and it counts 2-2 now. So 100 pitches now for Nolasco. That third inning was probably his toughest in terms of digging out of it.
Yeah, he had that real low pitch fifth inning.
But he's in it right now. The Phillies have a run, and Rollins is sitting on a 2-2 with runners first and second. Ground ball. Infante picks it out there. Hanley's relay is not in time. Well, the fielder's choice. Martinez is erased. Now you got Rollins at first. Here comes Randy St. Clair. Polanco coming up.
And you know you have a guy who's going to make contact. He did strike out in the first inning, one of the few times, just the 28th time this year. But in his career, Polanco 1 for 9 against Ricky Nolasco.
This copyright telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Randy Choate has replaced Mike Dunn. And Choate, no doubt, is for Utley and or Howard. So you got Utley, Howard, and Ibanez stacked up behind Polanco. As Tommy pointed out after his strikeout in the first, he's one of the toughest in the big leagues to strike out. And Polanco shoots it foul and out of play. In fact, Polanco coming into play tonight, second toughest to strike out, behind Jose Reyes. Mets got some good news in that they feel the hamstring injury to Reyes will not be serious.
Yeah, just I think more of a strain. But they have to be careful because that's always been a problem with hamstrings.
First year in the big leagues was a big problem for him. There's a strike. Derek Jeter is back to the lineup for the Yankees tonight. They are scoreless against the Indians in the top of the 7th. Jeter is 0 for 3. Ricky had that move on the road and actually had a guy picked off, but didn't expect it. And when he turned to first, he wasn't ready to throw it. That time, I think he was looking a little closer.
We saw it in Texas against the Marlins. Matter of fact, the Yankees are hitless through 6.
On the ground, Infante picks it up, and Nolasco limits the damage to just a run. So 7 innings in the books for Ricky Nolasco. Phillies have the first run, and on this 4th of July here in Miami, with the Marlins and the Phillies starting this series, in special recognition of the military, USAA now presents the singing of God Bless America from Army Reserve, Johnny Holiday.
Holiday.
Craig Minervini. Craig?
All right, thank you very much, Rich. The Philadelphia Phillies have dominated the series here in this ballpark, though not tonight. It's a good ball game. 1-0 as Ricky limited the damage there at the top of the 7th. But the numbers don't lie when you look at it's amazing. The last 23 games here, the Phillies have won 19. How have they done it? Well, they've done it with good hitting, averaging double the runs of the Marlins. They're not overly hitting the efficiency by average, only 256. But look at the pitching. Great ERA, and then the great defense, which has been the story of their team this year. Just 8 errors. They have hit 25 homers to the Marlins 15. And then the other key thing, those key knocks. We saw Martinez get one in the top of the 7th. Runners in scoring position, not overwhelming at 247. But the Fish in this series, last 23, haven't been able to come up with a key hit at 182 with runners in scoring position.
Well, Craig, last night the Marlins had some big hits in Texas late in the ball game. They're going to need to do that here in this one. Down a run in the bottom of the 7th. Logan Morrison, Mike Stanton, and Brian Peterson against Vance Worley, who's been outstanding. Our Toyota trend tonight. Philadelphia's won the last 5 meetings, 13 of 16. Look at how they've outscored the Fish, 92-55. Morrison scorches it. Howard made a nice pickup, and he beats Lomo to the bag.
Well, a well-struck ball, just bad luck. Howard with a nice pick. He's played some solid defense for the Phillies this year.
And Craig is right. We've focused on starting pitching. We've talked about the injuries that the Phillies have had in the bullpen. They've been able to patch it together. But the defense is something that really has been a big help. I mean, it's great to have the big 3 and all that, or the big 4 if you want to count Oswalt. But the Phillies can catch it and throw it. 38 errors on the season coming in.
Yeah, they've always been able to do that with Polanco, Rollins, Utley, and improve Ryan Howard now at first base. You've got a Gold Glover when Victorino's in the lineup in center field.
It's the best fielding percentage in the National League. Worley with the count 1-1 on Mike Stanton. Bounced into a fielder's choice and stole a bag in the 2nd. He's flied out as well. One and 2. Worley approaching 100.
Worley trying to do what he did his last time out. His last time out against Boston. And the Phillies won that game 2-1. He established a career high 7 innings. Gave up just 5 hits and a run to the Red Sox. He's trying to back that up with another fine outing tonight.
And he finishes Stanton off with a nasty breaking ball. So 2 outs. Jiffy Lube Fiesta Fridays coming up on the 8th at 7:10. Marlins take on the Astros. A 4 for $54 pack will get you 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and 2 game day programs starting at just $54. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com.
Well, you don't think a guy like Worley soaks it up in between starts, chatting with Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay, guys like that?
You got to think too, Tommy, that as the Phillies call around and say, hey, we're looking for a right-handed bat, opposing general managers probably say, well, we'll give you one, but we need Vance Worley, as well as he's pitched this year. Peterson hits it sharply out to Rollins at short, who throws him out. And Vance Worley makes quick work of the Fish. He has retired 8 in a row.
Operation Enduring Freedom. I want to say hello to all my family friends in Miami, Florida. I also want to congratulate the Marlins, Florida Marlins, for a good season so far. Make me proud and take it all the way.
Some great greetings from the troops overseas throughout our telecast. If you missed Marlins Live, you missed an outstanding tribute to Independence Day and baseball, produced by our friends in Los Angeles at Big Fox. Vin Scully featured prominently in that as he voiced over much of that feature. We will replay that in the postgame show, Marlins Live postgame edition after this ball game. Randy Choate enters, and he comes in right with the lefties. Utley, Howard, and Ibanez here in the top of the 8th in a 1-0 game, the Phillies and the Marlins. Not too often does the lineup, but because they're such quality hitters, they're all back-to-back-to-back. Not too often you see 3 lefties in a row. So it allows Jack McKeon to bring in Choate in this situation. And for Ricky Nolasco, it's his 3rd consecutive very good start. When you go 7 innings, you limit the Phillies to 6 hits and 1 run, you have to feel pretty good about the start. Problem is, Vance Worley has been a little bit better. Vance Worley has given up just 2 hits to the Marlins. Strike from Choate. The Marlins' last hit was Bonifacio's single back in the 3rd. Bonifacio, of course, ejected from the ball game by Vic Carapazza, the first base umpire, after a close play at first. And as Bonifacio turned to walk away, he pulled his helmet off and tossed it, not in a violent manner and not in a manner that would show up an umpire, but Carapazza, who was not even looking, must have seen the helmet out of the corner of his eye and threw Bonifacio out of the game. Here's another look at it. Perry Hill was doing the arguing. Watch Carapazza. Bonifacio throws the helmet down, and that's when Jack starts getting in his face, and it's more for him tossing Bonifacio than the call that he blew. McKeon was not ejected. Perry Hill was not ejected. Utley battling with a count 1-2. You know, they talk about players having to have, and I think it's true, a little more restraint. I think umpires have to have, in that instance, a little more restraint. Choate gets Utley. Randy Choate's been outstanding as the lefty specialist this year. Remember last year he was in the Rays bullpen, and he wasn't necessarily the lefty setup guy. He got knocked around by right-handers, but got lefties out. The Marlins identifying that. Were able to get Mike Dunn in the Dan Uggla trade and get Choate and have 2 lefties in their pen. This is like a lefty setup man's dream. 3 lefties in a row. Lefty's now 5 for 43 against Choate. You just you imagine that the magnetic schedule on Randy Choate's refrigerator at home has got the Phillies and the Braves series all highlighted. Because those are the series that he's going to face this Phillies lineup. And think about it. Think about the lefties that he faces. You know, you got McCann, maybe going to turn Chipper Jones. You got Hayward, Freddie Freeman. Now with this Philly lineup, you have Utley, you have Howard, you have Ibanez. Counts 2-0 now on Howard, who is 0 for 3. Bounced out twice, has struck out. Well, you actually have 4 in a row because Dominic Brown is after Ibanez. Marlins had that shift on again with Infante deep in right. Well, not deep in right, but deep into right. But against the lefty, you don't have the complete shift on.
Notice Hanley and Dobbs. They're on that left side. Howard will hit a few more balls the other way against the lefty.
There's Infante again, and twice tonight. Way out there and right. He has snatched hits from Ryan Howard.
That's the thing of beauty, and I'll tell you what, that's the thing that really pleases Perry Hill. Takes a lot of pride in positioning his infielders. Infante right there, and again, Howard is out.
Now Ibanez, who is 0 for 3.
Carry that even further. Schneider's after Dominic Brown. They probably would pinch hit for him. And you have to wonder too if that's all for Vance Worley. The bullpen's been busy ever since this inning started.
There's Ibanez. Now I'm looking at my score sheet. I'm not counting the 2 balls that Infante got from Ryan Howard, but I have only 2 balls going into the outfield. Rollins' line drive out to Logan Morrison to start the game, and the Michael Martinez line drive single to center.
Yeah, everything else either a pop fly in the infield or ground balls or strikeouts.
Which shows you how good Vance Worley has been. The Marlins pitching has been outstanding. Phillies has been excellent. Worley's got a 2-hit shutout through 7. Let's see, Worley sitting next to Roy Halladay, who looks intense even when he's not pitching.
Yeah, he does. I think Cliff Lee's probably a little more conversationalist than Roy Halladay. Who do you start in the All-Star game if you're Bruce Bochy?
Tim Lincecum got beat.
So he's an All-Star, and his record's 6-7 now.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be Ryan Vogelsong.
I don't think it'll be Lincecum either.
Good breaking ball. Cho brought it back across the plate. Well, Halladay or Lee, maybe a Matt Cain. Three-two. Struck him out. Randy Choate, lefty specialist. That's his job. That's what he does. He goes 1, 2, 3 through Utley, Howard, and Ibanez. Lefty specialist, especially against this team, you got to have pinpoint control. Look at it, 3 on the inside.
Those were fastballs. Then he goes away with his breaking ball.
3 on the outside.
And said, try to get that Raul Ibanez, and the specialist was very special that inning.
Vance Worley's night is over. Michael Stutz is coming out of the Phillies bullpen, and he takes over with John Buck, the pitcher spot, and then Greg Dobbs.
Also have a new catcher back there, Carlos Ruiz. Stutz will stay mainly with a pretty live fastball and slider.
Fastball, Buck to left. Got it off the end of the bat, and Ibanez makes the catch. First pitch and an out. Wes Helms is on deck. He looks back into the dugout. And I think the Marlins are going to go in a different direction, and Dwayne Wise will get the at bat against Stutz. And one of the reasons the closer right now for the Phillies is a lefty, Antonio Bastardo.
Well, you have to say there's a couple things going on here. You have that to think about, and the fact that Bonifacio was thrown out of the game, which makes a short bench even shorter. So instead of what maybe would have been a Greg Dobbs hitting here, because he would not have had to go in the game, Bonifacio would have been in the game. Dobbs was at third base. You go with Dwayne Wise.
Stutz attended both Santa Clara University in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then went on to pitch at Oregon State. This is low with that fastball. He's not a big guy. He's listed at 6'1", 185. Wise went after a low fastball, and he chops it to Utley. So 2 quick outs for Stutz. Here comes Dobbs. Here's our ticketsofamerica.com poll question. Favorite thing about the 4th of July? Fireworks and baseball.
Actually, those two could end in a tie.
Well, actually, you'll get both of them here tonight.
Yeah.
Fireworks show after the baseball. Dobbs now, his first at bat. His playing time has diminished with the road trip that Bonifacio had. Bonifacio getting a lot of starts at third. And occasionally you'd see Wes Helms in there against a lefty starter.
And Dobbs DH'd a couple of times on the road trip.
Here's the 0-1.
So because of the amount of starts, Dobbs just 10 pinch hit appearances, but he's 4 for 10 coming off the bench. This not considered a pinch hit appearance.
What a start for Vance Worley. 7 shutout innings. Gave up just the 2 hits. You know, you look at the series against the Phillies and you say, wow, no Halladay, no Lee. But Worley's been outstanding. I mean, he's 3-1, and his ERA was 2.5 coming in.
Well, he's given him back-to-back tremendous efforts now. Now you can say over his last 4 starts in 25 innings, he's given up 2 earned runs.
Two got him. 1, 2, 3. Stutz cuts right through the Marlins in the 8th.
short. Yeah, I thought that was cool growing up. As far as playing in one, it's got to be my first All-Star game at Pittsburgh.
What's your favorite All-Star moment? Cast your vote to decide at MLB.com/moments and watch the MLB All-Star Game Tuesday, July 12th on Fox.
1-0 Philadelphia on top of the Marlins in the ninth. Got a mouthful of pretzel. Mike Dunn takes over for Randy Choate. Ricky Nolasco went the first 7 innings for the Marlins. Pitched very well. He gave up 1 run. That was in the 7th. Randy Choate a 1-2-3-8 as he came in to get Utley, Howard, and Ibanez. He struck out Utley and Ibanez. And so now Dunn is in. Dominic Brown, Carlos Ruiz, and Michael Martinez. Brown's been on base twice. Neither of his hits were sharply hit, but his second one, which was to the outstretched arm of Omar Infante, clicked off his glove. Turned into a big one because he's the guy that scored the only run. He moved to second on the walk to Brian Schneider. That's probably the at-bat that if Ricky Nolasco could have one at-bat left, come back and do it over.
Yeah, that I think I used the term that complicated that inning. That walk
was the walk that followed to Schneider that put runners at first and second. Martinez then delivered Brown with a base hit to center.
Mike Dunn got the win in the ball game last night in Arlington. There is Chooch, as they call Carlos Ruiz.
27,103 in attendance tonight for baseball and fireworks. Antonio Bastardo in the bullpen. He is closer number 4 for the Phillies, and he's done a heck of a job.
And if you throw Lidge in there, closer number 5, Lidge hasn't pitched this year, but he would have been the closer.
Full count to Brown. Dunn trying to keep it a 1-run game and get to the bottom of the 9th. Ooh. Wow. Jack McKeon is hot. Let's see where it was. It's in. Not by much.
Too close for comfort, a 3-2 pitch, and there's that walk again leading off an inning. It's just something you have to stay away from late in a game, especially a 1-run game like this. Now, and John Buck is letting home plate umpire Kerwin Danley know a little bit about it.
Because remember, Buck was rung up, and he just gets tossed. Buck was rung up on a pitch that was in, and now he and Danley are going at it.
Buck was run up on a pitch that was inside further than that one, and that's why he's been all over Danley. And I'll tell you what, John Buck is one of the calmest guys you ever want to be around. For him to get fired up, I'll tell you another thing that's come together here tonight, Rich. A couple of guys thrown out. You're talking about a group of guys that's probably working on 3 or 4 hours sleep. You're talking about umpires who have not been very consistent tonight at first base and behind the plate. It's been a frustrating evening.
Buck still jawing at Kerwin Danley.
John Buck taking strike 3. Look where the pitch is. All right, much further inside than the pitch that he just caught to Dominic Brown that was called ball 4. He's got a beef. He has a right. So be it. Inconsistent. We talked about that 3 or 4 innings ago. That's the kind of umpire Kerwin Danley has been. Here's the pitch Buck was called out on. Take Fox Tracks for what it is, but it does show you where pitches are. That was a much better pitch, and it was called ball 4.
Now, Buck didn't take his helmet off. He wasn't showing him up.
Most of the conversation, he was pointed toward the pitcher, too.
Wow. Catchers rarely get tossed if they don't take their mask off and they keep their head straight ahead, because nobody else in the stadium knows that the conversation is going on. Danley had heard enough. And now Mike Dunn has to bear down and get some outs here.
Now, the frustrating part, you have 2 umpires. I know they make mistakes. It happens. But you have 2 umpires who've thrown players out because they made mistakes. It shouldn't be that way.
Ruiz is squaring. Brown's at first. Drops the bunt down first base side. Sanchez picks it up and tags out Ruiz. Brown is in scoring position. Here comes Michael Martinez. Big hit by Martinez in the 7th inning. The switch hitter from the other side of the plate against Ricky Nolasco. Lined to pitch into center field. And that scored Dominic Brown with the only run of the ball game. And it's Brown who is out at second now, and Martinez again at the plate.
Martinez, by the way, a little better hitter from the other side of the plate than he is from this side, the right side. From the right side this year, 3 for 23.
Brett Hayes behind the plate. 1-1 coming.
Oh my God!
2-1. Shane Victorino and Charlie Manuel.
Victorino always has to sit by somebody he can talk to because he can't stop talking.
Charlie's a good guy to sit next to then. Charlie Manuel is a baseball lifer, and you can talk to Charlie Manuel about baseball all day long, and the stories that he has to tell from his days coming up in the minors, a cup of coffee with the Twins,
his time in Japan,
his incredible time in Japan. Fly ball right field. Stanton is there. Brown tags. He's not going anywhere. And so Dunn gets the second out of the 9th. Pitcher spot due up. Here's our checkers double of the night. These are the 2 balls that Howard hit into the shift.
The shift with Infante pulled over a little bit more deep into the grass, and each time, the last 2 times for Ryan Howard, he's hit the ball right to Omar Infante. Nice positioning.
Jack McKeon comes out and is going to make a pitching change. Here's our Maroon. He called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van.
On top of the Marlins. It's the top of the ninth. An interesting decision here to make if you're Jack McKeon. Ben Francisco was announced, so the question is, would you rather have Mike Dunn facing Ben Francisco or Edward Mujica facing Ross Glode? Because Glode is going to pinch hit now for Francisco.
Glode having another big year off the bench as a pinch hitter. 12 for 39. Francisco not bad. Francisco 4 for 11 as a pinch hitter.
So here's Glode. He goes after the first pitch and fouls it off of Brett Hayes' mask.
But Jack does get Charlie Manuel to burn a couple of players.
Only run of the night came in the 7th off of Ricky Nolasco. That man scored. Michael Martinez RBI single. Dominic Brown still in scoring position here. Glode lifts it in the air. Morrison is back at the track, and he makes the catch. Antonio Bastardo coming out of the bullpen. Marlins down to their last 3 outs, down a run in the 9th. You by Maroney. When you need a car, truck, or van, who you going to call? Maroney. And by Sonic. One nothing ball game in the bottom of the 9th. Phillies on top. Marlins have just 2 hits. The Phillies have 6. And one of those hits was this one. Michael Martinez into center field. Dominic Brown, watch the play at the plate. It was a close one. Brown sliding across. His foot actually went above the plate. Buck got the tag on the hip, but a bang-bang play. The Phillies get the run. Michael Martinez with our Gunther Volkswagen drive of the day. And so now it's down to Antonio Bastardo, who comes in and tries to save it for the Phillies.
You're going to see mostly fastballs and sliders from Bastardo, and we've talked about the number of closers. He has 4 saves. Jose Contreras with 5. Madsen with 15. Of course, Contreras and Madsen on the disabled list. So Bastardo is taking over that closer role. Good part of the lineup for the Marlins coming up here, though.
Omar Infante, Gabby Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez. Marlins don't have a lot of at-bats against Bastardo. Fastball is high. Infante is 0 for 3 against him.
Time to go back to some of those patient at-bats we saw on the road trip, especially the last week.
Collectively as a unit, this Phillies bullpen has been spectacular. They lead all of Major League Baseball in save percentage. 24 of 26. Ball and a strike. Charlie Manuel's got obviously premium starters and a frontline bullpen despite all the injuries. Ryan Madsen, the last to go down. That misses, and it's 2-1. And of course, you have Jose Contreras, who's out on the disabled list. Brad Lidge, who has been battling injuries all year long. 2-1 pitch coming to Infante. And Omar fouls it back.
And so far, Omar Infante has seen all fastballs from Bastardo.
Doesn't walk a lot, doesn't strike out a lot. Twice he's bounced out and he's flied out. Two. Another fastball. This one's popped up. Should be playable. Utley and Howard, and it's Utley. They collide. It's foul. Dominic Brown and Chase Utley. The ball was in foul territory. And Infante is still alive.
Howard got out of the way, but here comes Brown, and he runs right into the back of Utley, both in foul territory, so the ball is foul. Utley's glasses go awry. I don't know why he has those. It looks like Utley is going to make the play. Howard doesn't hear him, or Brown doesn't hear him, and he comes right into his backside. Howard did hear him. He got out of the way.
So let's see if Infante can do something with new life. Two coming. Breaking ball hit in the air. And it's Brown who makes the catch.
Who they gave an error to on that previous play.
So it's Gabby Sanchez and Hanley Ramirez. Gabby's flied out, struck out, and walked. The last hit for the Marlins. Bonifacio single in the third. Hanley single back in the second. Those were all against Vance Worley. Michael Stutz handled the eighth flawlessly. Bastardo, not a big guy. He's listed at 5'11". Gabby with a big swing, and he fouls it back. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. On a night where Ricky Nolasco pitched well, Vance Worley was better. And the bullpens have taken the baton from there. The 1-1.
Hey, think about it, Rich. Down the road, when Charlie Manuel gets his closer situation in order, say Madsen comes back and he's healthy, it just gives these other guys who've had the opportunity to close, it gives them more confidence, and it'll make his bullpen even better.
One-two pitch. Hanley next. Morrison if the inning progresses. 2-2 coming. Marlins Live is coming up after the ball game. Again, the Fox salute, the 4th of July, featuring Vince Scully on the post-game show. Antonio Bastardo, all 5'11" of them, trying to nail this down for the Phillies. 2-2. Wow, that was was close.
Sometimes you have to use that inconsistency to your advantage.
That was...
I think what hurt there was the way Ruiz caught the ball. He's a better catcher than that, and he kind of let that one get away.
That was a strike, and Gabby got a break. Now the 3-2. It's in the dirt, and the Marlins have a base runner.
One of those ones you can't argue too much from the bench because it didn't look like the strike the way Ruiz caught it.
Well, Ruiz was set up on the outside corner and kind of had to reach across the inside of the plate. Hanley Ramirez now, who is 1 for 3. Bastardo out of the Dominican Republic. He's only 25. First pitch to Hanley. That's a strike.
Outfield is deep. Want to make sure they can cut something off in the gap.
Gabby Sanchez at first. Oh, and 1. Slow tapper to third, and it's going to roll foul.
That's a sure base hit if it stays fair because the third baseman Polanco playing back. Once the ball got on the dirt, right about there, it just wasn't going to come back. And once it got foul, Polanco got it out of there in a hurry.
And so Bastardo is out in front of Hanley Ramirez, 0-2. Jack McKeon has seen 2 of his players ejected for this ball game. Emilio Bonifacio and John Buck. Two. Got him. Fastball. Ruiz holds it. Hanley strikes out, and Bastardo now needs just one more out, and it's Logan Morrison.
And it'll be a lefty matchup. Bastardo may break out the slider a little bit more. He's showing mostly fastballs. Gets Hanley with that fastball just off the plate, but too close with 2 strikes, and Hanley doesn't get it.
Told you that the Marlins don't have a long history against Bastardo, including this inning now as a team. The Marlins have 11 at-bats against this lefty, and they have only 1 hit. That hit a double by that man, Logan Morrison. Morrison 1 for 3.
A double right here would make things exciting.
With 2 outs, Gabby Sanchez at first, and he's being held there by Howard. So the right side is open. Bastardo. Fastball. There's a strike.
To Bastardo's credit, he's been able to get ahead. He got ahead with a strike to Hanley. He's gotten ahead to Logan Morrison.
Well, you can see why he's been successful in making the transition. And not even the transition from the 8th inning guy to the closer. He started the season 7th inning guy. And he gets another strike. Just like that, it's 0-2.
Boy, the Marlins tonight just have not had good swings, good approaches. They've had pitches to hit that they've taken.
0-2 coming. Morrison, a fly ball to the right. Brown is there, and the Phillies win the ball game. A 1-0 game. Antonio Bastardo closes, and Philadelphia gets the first of this 3-game set. An emotional night for the Marlins, and the Phillies just keep right on rolling. They have won 20 of the last 24 games between the two teams in this stadium. Our Coors Light cold hard blast. This is the only RBI hit of the ball game. Michael Martinez in the 7th. A good throw by Brian Peterson and a close play, but Brown got in under the tag. And the Phillies, the best record in baseball, gets even better. And tomorrow night, it's Cole Hamels who the Fish have to deal with. 1-0 Phillies. Marlins Live is coming up.